All right, guys. So this video is going to help us with solving equations. Given that we're given a word problem, a lot of times the things that kids don't like about these is that they don't like word problems because they have to read. It's a little more work. They're not just given an equation. They have to create it, then solve it, which is 2 steps instead of just solving them. So ending can be a little tricky. All right. One of the most important things when you are doing word problems is a lot of the stuff in the word problem you don't really need. So the one we're given here is that a person can pay $6 for a membership to a museum, then only pay $2 per visit with the membership. If the membership lasts for a year and they have saved $238 to visit the museum, how many times can they visit the museum in a year? Okay. So the big things we need to know is that you pay $6 for a membership, then it's $2 per visit, and you save $238 to go to the museum. All right, so let's just write down some of the stuff we have. And labeling everything is one of the most important things when it comes to word problems. That way you don't have to keep looking back into the word problem. You can just reference what you wrote down, what information you brought out of the word problem. And then we have $238 saved. Okay, so what we look here is that we have a $6 membership fee, $2 per visit, and $238 for the museum for the year. Okay, when we deal with the equations, one of the biggest things we have to find out is which is our variable cost or our variable number, and what is our constant cost. Okay, so when we're talking about these words, variable is something that can change. Constant is something that stays the same. Okay, so when we talk about our membership fee, you pay $6 for the membership. The thing that you want to think about is that $6 ever going to increase or go down depending on how many times we go to our museum? So since it's a $6 membership fee, that's never going to change. That's a flat rate. You pay that one time. Okay, so that's our constant cost. Now, if you look back in our word problem, it says it takes us $2 per visit. So every time you visit the museum, you're going to be paying $2. So that would be our variable cost. Because over the course of the year, if we visit it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 100 times, that cost is going to change because every time you show up, it's going to cost you $2. Okay, that's probably the hardest thing that kids don't understand, is because the variable cost is very important. Ooh. It's very important to find out which one is your variable cost, which one is your standard cost, because that's going to change the way our equation works. Okay, and again, you always want to have a variable, and our variable is going to be x, and that's number of visits. Another technique when you're reading equation or reading word problems is that whatever you're trying to find, chances are that's your variable cost. For instance, in this one it says, how many times can you visit the museum in the year? Since the number of times you visit the museum can change, you automatically know that the amount of times you visit is going to be our variable, aka our x. And since it costs $2 to visit, you know that our equation is going to have 2x. Okay? So this is probably the easiest way or the best way to break down a word problem. Write all your information down, figure out what's going to be doing what, and then go from there. Right? So for instance, let's look at our problem. We have the left side of our equation is going to be cost of visits. Okay? And we want that to be equal to the money saved. All right? So we make our equation. We know that in order for us to go, the cost of the visits is going to be $6 for our membership fee, plus another 2x, where x is every time we visit. And we know that we saved $238 to go for the year. Okay, so our equation for this problem is 6 plus 2x equals 238. Now, if I gave you this equation, it'd be easy to solve because the first step is simplify. We can't simplify on the left, can't simplify on the right. Now we just want to get that 2x term by itself by using our inverses. So 6 minus 6 is 0. We're left with the 2x on the left side. 238 minus 6 is 232. Okay. Now what we're going to want to do is you want to isolate the x all by itself. So what we got to do there is get this x by itself. So since the 2 and the x are multiplied, divide both sides by 2, and you're going to get x is equal to 116. Okay. Now, a lot of times when it comes to word problems, kids just circle this. They're like bada bing, bada boom. That's their answer, x equals 116, and they think they're done. But when it comes to word problems, you have to answer the question that's being asked. So for instance, our question is, how many times can you visit the museum in a year? So your real answer would be 116 visits. It's nice that you tell me x equals 116, but since we're talking about a museum or we're talking about a word problem, that 116 could mean visits, it could mean dollars, it could mean days. I don't really know. So you must label and tell me that it's 116 visits. So this would be your correct answer. If you gave me x equals 116, it would be half right, not fully right, because you didn't label it. The biggest thing when it comes to word problems is make sure you label, label, label. All right? So, next one. When 6 is added to 4 times a number, the result is 50. We did this last section in the last portion of the year. But all we did was you give me this, and we didn't solve it. You just wrote down the equation. But now we're actually going to solve it. So it says 6 is added to 4 times a number. All right? So what I like to do is just read it and start writing math. So we have the number 6. We know that added to means addition. 4 times a number is 4. We don't know what the number is, so that's a variable. The result is 50. Okay? So it's 6 plus 4x equals 50. This one's pretty easy. It's pretty quick. Now we got to get the x term by itself. So minus 6 minus 6. 4x equals 44. We want to isolate the x term by getting rid of this 4. Since the 4 is the coefficient, it means they're being multiplied. The inverse of multiplication is division. And x equals 11. So therefore our number is 11. And again, this one's fine if you just write x equals 11 because it says what's the number. It doesn't say how many times or how many times we visit something, how many hot dogs can you buy. It just says what's the number. X equals 11.